Welcome to Gen Z Hoops, the Gen Z basketball, coaching, and sports business show.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Gen Z Hoops podcast. Today, I'm joined by Columbia guard Arop Arop. Arop, how you doing, man?
Man, what's good? What's good, man? I'm doing well, man. I appreciate you for having me on here tonight.
Oh, no, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Well, I'd like to jump into our little conversation here. Can you talk a little bit about your connection to the game of basketball?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I guess so my dad pretty much introduced me to the game. My mom and my dad have very young parents, so I'd probably say when I was around 2, 3 years old, they purchased me a little Tykes hoop, and the rest is history. I mean, my dad never had any like professional or semi-professional involvement with the game of basketball, but he's always loved it. He's always been a fan, so he just introduced it to me. I had little basketballs and a lot of toys growing up, and the love just grew from there.
Do you have one of those pictures that LeBron James has with his little Tykes hoop and I think it was with his like stuffed elephant or something like that in
Yeah,
it?
like a little holiday picture or just
Yeah.
like a little picture with you next to the hoop and the ball. Yep.
You have one of those?
Yeah, I do. I gotta find it somewhere.
So, was there ever a specific player who you tried to model your game after at a young age?
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, my favorite player of all time is LeBron. I'm a huge LeBron guy.
God,
But
it's
I modeled my game after, oh yeah, I see you. I probably modeled my game after KD for sure, like taller guys with a handle. Paul George too. KD and Paul George a lot. Growing up, I watched them a lot. Joe Johnson for
Oh, that's
sure.
that's a name people don't really say that much often.
Yeah, Joe Johnson for sure. I love this game, watching them play a lot. Yeah, I'd probably say those guys for sure.
But which ISO Joe though? We have the Hawks or we have the Nets.
I'd probably say Atlanta. I watched him a lot in Atlanta, but him in Brooklyn was tough too. But Atlanta for sure.
I remember I used to have season tickets for the Nets back in the day, and he used to be like, I don't understand. Like his game was so slow, but it was like so strategic. I remember I was at a game, he took Paul Pierce's ankles one game. I think you see the clip, like he like
I think the viral one,
yeah,
right?
I was at
Yeah.
that game. That game was insane. But moving on, let's talk about your high school career. So you attended Chisholm Trail High School before you went to a prep school. What was your experience like playing at Chisholm Trail?
It was a super fun experience. I got to play. So my sophomore year, I went there my sophomore year. So it's my school closest to my house. So I played there with my brother, my little brother, who were a year apart. So he was a freshman, I was a sophomore, and I played with my cousin too, who was a junior. So it was nice playing with my family together. But playing there was a dope experience. I mean, playing at a big public school in Texas. We were a 6A school. Games always had a great atmosphere. Just public high school basketball is always dope. I got handed the keys pretty early, so right when I got there after jump, I got the keys, so I was able, at a young age, I was able to experiment, just play my game naturally, free flowing. My coach let me rock out my sophomore year. So my sophomore year, we were super young, like I said, so we didn't win many games. We were very talented, but we didn't win many games. And that year, our district was super loaded, senior heavy, like a lot of talented teams. So it was a beating for us for sure. But my sophomore year was when I really started to take off with basketball on a national stage and like a recruitment stage. I started getting noticed for my game, so I started playing very, very well, playing with my brother, of course, but didn't win many games my sophomore year. Um, but then junior year was super, super different. So my cousin transferred, and then my brother got injured. So it was just really just me and some of my homeboys, and we kind of just let the rest eat. I mean, it was a really big year for me. I had college eyes on me. I had some national eyes on me. So it was just very fun. We had a crosstown rival game that we had every year against our rival against Boswell. Every year that game would always be packed, sold out. So that game was always a lot of fun. Playing in front of home. I mean, my parents made a lot of my games once I got to 10th grade. So it was always nice having them, there while I'm playing. And I don't know, just the public school experience is nothing like it. I mean, we'd have games and they would collide with football. Like, so we'd play at like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and we'd go right to the football game right after Friday Night Lights because we played Tuesdays and Fridays.
Mhm.
So, there was nothing like it. And then we made playoffs my junior year. We lost in the first round. But one of my most memorable moments my junior year was so this was the year of the Texas winter storm. I don't know if you heard it, but like it made national headlines where Texas had a little winter freeze. And that happened. So like it kind of screwed our games around a little bit. So we had a play-in game against our rival school at a neutral site. And this was right when the snow went in, and so there was snow outside, it was super cold outside, and pretty much the whole city popped out. So that's one of my most memorable moments my junior year. And then my senior year was bittersweet. It was a really good moment because after my junior year, I left for a few months to a prep school at Minnesota Prep, but then I transferred back like end of November. So I finished out my senior year at Chisholm Trail, but senior year was dope. We made a little playoff run, nothing too crazy, but pretty solid year for sure.
So you mentioned growing up in Dallas, Texas before.
Yep.
Texas is more of like a football state, wouldn't you say? But how did that energy of like the passion for the football team or anything like that transition over the basketball floor? With like
Yeah, I definitely did. I'd probably argue that, like, I mean, Texas football, there's nothing like it, but hoops in Texas is, I'd argue, is one of the best too. And obviously, I'm biased. I think Texas got the best hoops for sure, but we definitely got a lot of people that come out of Texas. So, like, I mean, obviously, the football energy definitely just easily transitions into basketball because if your school is really good at football, obviously the attention is going to be all over athletics and stuff like that. So, if you have a pretty solid basketball team, and I mean, at my school, I had a lot of friends and stuff like that that would just spread word of mouth. So, the love always was always shown.
So how can you say that Texas has the best hoopers out there and you go to school in New York now, the Mecca, the Big Apple of basketball?
I mean, I fell in love with the city, but I'm gonna always be biased. I'm gonna always go with my hometown, Texas, man. I'm gonna always go with Dallas.
Yeah, okay, I can respect that. I can respect that. I had to like throw my little 2 cents in there because I'm from
Respect to
Queens.
New York, though. New York, Jersey, I got great hoopers, though, for sure.
There we go. There we go. Thank you. So after your time at Chisholm Trail, you decided to go do a prep year at Hotchkiss. What was the decision to attend Hotchkiss, and where else were you looking at for boarding schools in the NEPSAC?
It was pretty much just Hotchkiss from the jump. So I had committed to Columbia pretty early, so September 2021, so when I was 17. And then the year came around, and I was a little bit younger, I guess, not that much younger, but I committed pretty early, and they introduced the idea of doing a prep year. And at first I was opposed to it. I was like, I mean, I'm already in my high school career. I'm already committed. I don't see no need. Why would I do an extra year of high school? As a young kid, you're thinking all those kids. You're very young. You're thinking about like moving away from home. You're like, I don't know, like another year of high school away from home. I'm not sure. So, I'm open to a lot of things. So I accepted the idea. I'm always open to new experiences. So Columbia actually introduced me to the idea of Hotchkiss. And one of my former teammates, Kenny, who's a class ahead of me, was there the previous year before I was there. So, knowing that, it kind of made me comfortable with the idea of going to Hotchkiss and trying something new, coming to the Northeast. But I mean, so once I accepted the idea of doing it, um, they actually what actually made me jump to it actually was they invited me to a trip to Germany with them
Really?
the summer before school started. So it was all the seniors and everyone else on the basketball program. So went out to Germany with them for 12 days and kind of made me realize what the school was about and what my teammates were about. And I got to get really familiar with some of the kids at the school, some of my closest friends now to this day. So that made me, make that jump to go to Hotchkiss. And honestly, like looking back at it now, like it was a dope decision because, being independent, being away from home, being on your own schedule, telling yourself like not having your parents asking you about certain things to do, like you really had to grow up pretty fast, and it kind of adjusted me to the college pace lifestyle that I'm at right now.
So I had to give my guy Will a shout out. He's one of your former teammates at Hotchkiss. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like sharing the floor with him?
Yeah, first off, Will, like great guy. I mean, honestly, I love that dude. He's one of my closest friends too from Hotchkiss. So shout out Will for sure. But I mean, it was dope playing with Will. I mean, super, super unselfish. I mean, super versatile. I mean, the kid can pass. He can shoot it outside a little bit. He can interior force, can rebound. So it was dope playing with him. I mean, he always found me when I was cutting. He always set great screens. So I mean, and again, like then comes the worst. Like when games aren't going so well, Will was right there, patting my back, letting me know things are gonna be all right. Let's go ahead and rally. Just being a great guy. Like his character really speaks for itself, honestly. Like when you think of Will, you don't only just think of a great basketball player, but you think of a great human being, and I mean, that's credit to his people. Like his mom is amazing, his dad is amazing, but him on a basketball court, it was great to play with. I mean, he understood everything. Like he understood everything offensively, he knew where to be defensively. So that honestly helps me a lot because that's still a part of my game that I'm looking to improve the mental aspect of things and like X's and O's. And he just knew everything that was going on. So he always assisted me with plays and stuff like that. And it was just super versatile. Like his passing separated everybody. He always found everybody. So it was dope playing with Will.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that note. I actually played Riverside with Will. It's actually not too far away from Columbia, like down the
Yeah,
block.
right, Riverside. Yeah, Riverside
Yeah.
Church. Yeah,
Yeah, we would always clash heads a little bit because, like the competitiveness would get a little chippy in practice or even in the games when I played against them. But I can't even lie, like when I was actually on the guy's team, the amount of screens he was able to set for me so I could get my shot off.
yeah. I definitely agree.
So let's move on to the recruiting process. What schools were you looking at? Where did you visit and why did you ultimately choose Columbia University?
Yeah, so started getting recruited around like summer 2020. So like sophomore, like yeah, like sophomore year, sophomore summer, something like that. My first offer was Howard University. And then right after that, junior year started. So I started killing. This was when I was at Chisholm Trail. Started killing at Chisholm Trail. So right when the season ends, spring at Chisholm Trail. I'm talking to a few schools. I got contacted by a few Ivies. Didn't really think much of it at all though, because I wasn't too familiar with the Ivy League.
Mhm.
So I had Howard, and then my second offer was Rice. This was like March 2021. So my second offer was Rice, and then I got Vanderbilt that same day.
Wow, okay.
So Rice, Vandy, and then after that, I got my first Ivy, which was Harvard, and then I got Princeton, Columbia, and then a little bit after that, I started getting recruited by like Stanford, UCF, um, Miami, UCal, Berkeley, Colorado State, a few other schools as well, but those were the main ones. And then once I got to Hotchkiss, I played in a live period with them over the summer, and I was already locked in. So I committed to Columbia around September 2021. My top four, so I cut off most schools. My top four was Columbia, Princeton, Vanderbilt, and Harvard. And I ended up going with Columbia, obviously. That was my first visit. So funny story, I was actually supposed to visit Princeton first because I was heavily considering Princeton as well. But I didn't have the vaccine yet. So like, and this was the time when the mandate was around that in order to just do simple public stuff like go to restaurants and
Yep.
do the typical things that a recruit would do, you need the vaccine. So I had Princeton lined up first, but because I didn't, I couldn't go. So got my first vaccine, and then I was able to set up the Columbia visit first because they were more lenient with the vaccine. So just the Columbia visit. Right when I landed, got my second vaccine shot, got my card and everything, so I was good.
There you
Had
go.
that visit, had the time of my life, honestly. It was my first time in New York City. I was with my parents. They showed a lot of love. I mean, campus like was amazing. It was beautiful in the city. I just like I probably described my official visit like it didn't feel real. Like being in New York City didn't feel real. Honestly, it was amazing. I felt a really great connection with the staff. They were about my development, not only as a basketball player and following my professional aspirations of being a basketball player, but they're really concerned with me going off the court and becoming a real man. So that's definitely why I went with Columbia. Had a lot of schools reach out for sure, but a lot, and I will say things did get a little chaotic when I went to Hotchkiss, uh, going postgrad, obviously, because U Miami came back into the situation and they recruited me pretty heavy. Um, so that kind of altered things a little bit, but I ultimately stuck it through with Columbia.
So let's backtrack a little bit because I forgot to ask you this question. Did you play in the NEPSAC Showcase?
I
Um,
did.
yeah. What was your thoughts on that? Seeing all those coaches in the building.
I honestly didn't expect to see that many coaches, honestly, but that like because I wasn't really familiar with the NEPSAC
Mhm.
or basketball in the Northeast at all. So it's kind of a shocker for sure. But there were a lot of big time players, big time schools there. So once I realized that, I was like, oh wow, this isn't really a shocker because I played in front of a lot of coaches. I played in a bunch of big tournaments.
Yeah.
But playing in it with Hotchkiss was definitely like a shocker for sure.
Yeah, well, I remember like the year before, like my junior year or sophomore year, the NEPSAC tournament was at Avon, right? And that was like, I mean, that summer is like when a lot of coaches like really started coming
Yeah.
out again because it was post-COVID and all that stuff. I remember I saw like Juwan Howard, like
Yeah, it was a lot of
all
coaches.
these like crazy big name coaches like watching our games. And I'm like, I don't want to like swear, but I was like, holy crap, like this
Yeah.
is crazy, man. But let's talk about your transition to the college level now. What was the transition like from playing at Hotchkiss to now playing at Columbia? Was there ever like a welcome to college moment that you had?
I'd probably say like my biggest welcome to college moment. honestly was like, because I haven't always been the biggest X and O guy, so I've always been go out and hoop, you know. Obviously I make reads naturally, like I have a great feel for the game, great IQ, but I was never the type of guy to like sit down and process plays and, you know, predict this, predict that. So I'll probably say my biggest like surprise or biggest like thing that I had to adjust to, and I'm still adjusting to, was just learning things on the fly, being ready on the fly, being expected to know things when it's said the first time, or being able to predict things early and stuff like that, or always having like a preconceived notion of knowing what coaches want this day and that.
Yeah, man. So let's talk about your development. Over time at Columbia, now you're in your second year. How do you feel like your game has evolved from when you first came in?
I definitely got a little bit quicker. That's obviously definitely got stronger too, for sure. I was a little bit thinner coming into college, but as in my game, I'd probably say like I became a better passer because I've always been an elite slasher. So like being able to get deep into the defense and kick out, draw two, kick out, and make reads for my teammates and create like opportunities for one more passes and get the ball swinging. I'd probably say that for sure. Definitely my passing has improved a whole lot. I'd probably say my handle got tighter for sure too. I've always had a pretty solid handle, but just facing collegiate pressure and the physicality for sure. I definitely adjusted to that well, along with my finishing. So definitely like my slashing, my passing, and my finishing for sure.
And you play under Coach Engles. How has he shaped your development and what is it like playing for him?
Um, I love playing for him, honestly. He's very hard on me. I'll say that for sure. But what I love about him, he's very concerned about your development, and he's always doing something that's in your best interest. So he always has your best interest, and he's always doing something that will help impact the team and like help impact winning from like a team lens. So he helped me learn that for sure. As far as my development, honestly, him just trusting my game. He let me rock since I got here in practice. He lets me play my game. He lets me play my natural position. So I probably just say him trusting my game and having a feel for my versatility.
How would you describe the culture at Columbia University?
Within our basketball program, I mean, close-knitted family type of program for sure. Um, and we definitely have values that we hold ourselves to. Like, I mean, we have values like team first, self last, entitled to nothing, grateful for everything, like being accountable, leading.
Mhm.
And then we have smaller values as well of things like being a professional or no excuses, having respect and things like that. So having those core values and some of those smaller sayings kind of really represent what we are, because even outside of basketball, we try to hold ourselves to those things, honestly, because how something that, you know, I always tell myself, something my dad always told me was like, how you approach basketball, how you treat basketball is pretty much how you're gonna, you know, treat your life, because this is something that's a major part of your life. So whether like how disciplined you are, whether you're touching the line or when nobody's looking and stuff like that. So I'll probably say like our culture, a huge respect type of thing for sure, and a huge like unselfishness for sure. I'll definitely say that. It's like our whole motto, team first, self last. Definitely a huge part. We write it down before every game. We say it before every game.
Has your view of on leadership changed at all since you've been in college? And if so, like what type of leader would you say you are?
Yeah, my view on leadership has definitely changed a little bit. I'll probably say just from more of a perspective of knowing what's always right and doing the right things all the time. So honestly, like with some of our current leaders on the team, like Kenny Nolan, Noah Robledo, Robbie, Jake, those guys are always doing the right thing. They always know what to say. They're well respected too. So they're not one of those just leaders that just, you know, they're saying a whole bunch of words, but their words are really well respected. And it kind of made me realize the perspective of like, you know, like honing in on your craft and being focused when it's time to be focused, honestly. Um, and how I've changed as a leader, honestly, I've always been a little vocal when I can be. Like I pick and choose for sure, but I'll probably say just always being sharp 1,000% of the time, honestly. Because a leader, when you're looking at a leader, you look at a person that's always on their P's and Q's all the time, a person who isn't slipping up much, and a person who's always doing the right thing, like when no one's watching. So I'd probably say I grew in a lens of holding myself accountable. I'd probably say accountability. That's a big part of leadership. That's a big part of where I've grown. Accountability.
Of course, well, not to sidetrack too much, like leadership, my view on leadership definitely changed a lot. Even back when I was at Salisbury senior year, our assistant coach, he actually played Division I at UMass Lowell. So he was like telling me, I'm not really one of like the most vocal guys out there, but I work really hard. Like I train all the time. I'm like always in the gym. So like here I am thinking you need to be like this rah guy in the locker room, like saying everything. But he also told me, and I would like kind of put pressure on myself in that sense. But he also told me like leading by example speaks as loud as like kind of saying all those words, like being like the hype up guy in the locker room. So that's
Right.
like how I can connect to you on that note. So let's talk about game day and preparation. What does a typical game day look like for you?
So a typical game day, let's say we're at home, we're playing at, I'll probably say ideal. I prefer 2 o'clock games. I love 2 o'clock games, but most times we play either 2 or 7 o'clock or six.
Yep.
So 2 o'clock home game. We come in the morning, so we'll come in about 9:15 or so, or 8. We'll have our walkthrough first. So I'll wake up in the morning. I'll get me something to eat real quick. Usually cinnamon toast crunch. That'll get the deal for me. I usually eat something
Yep.
pretty light, or if I run to the dining hall, eggs, sausage, hash brown. That'll get the job done for me. And then a bowl of cereal, of course, cinnamon toast crunch. And then so I'll run up to the gym, get ready for a walkthrough. And usually our walkthroughs are about an hour before games. So walkthroughs just going through opponent offense, opponent defense, and then our defensive schemes and our defensive approach coming in for the game, going over X's and O's, and then going over opponents' inbounds and sideline out of bounds, things of that matter, and just tidying up a couple things that we have to do for that week, or the focus, like fixing up our focus for those games. Um, so then after that, it's about an hour, and then at the end of our shoot around, we do our little half court shot. You hit your half court shot, you get a little prize for sure. So that's always something to look forward to. And then after that, we have our team meal and film. So we'll go up to the third floor and 2 o'clock game. So it'll be breakfast. So it'll be pancakes, sausage, and all that type of good stuff, potatoes. Um, so once we have our team meal, that's when we're off by our own. So this is when I really get into my own routine. So we have about like an hour and a half, 2 hours just to rest. So typically, if I'm feeling pretty energized, I'll go down and I'll put my stuff on right away.
Right.
And then once I put my stuff on right away, I'll put on like whatever I was wearing that day. So like our Nike Tech or whatever, I'll put that over, and then I'll go to the lounge and I'll come chill like in this room I'm in right now. And I'll
Mhm.
either take a nap, or I'll just listen to music with my headphones, or I'll watch a bunch of YouTube videos for about like an hour or so. And then once I do that, I go downstairs. We have to get taped about 30 minutes before we come in for warming up and going to the weight room. So I'll get taped, and then once I get taped, I gotta have my pre-ritual candy ready. So Sour Patches.
I do that too, man.
Gotta have my pre-candy ritual ready. So I get my Sour Patches, I get taped, and then we meet in the weight room, and that's when we're stretching, doing our routine. So we do our team stretches and our team activations, and then once I'm done with that, I do my own personal stretches. Then I go back, I check my phone, ritual right before, and then right before I lock in, check my phone, get some candy, and then I go upstairs.
Yeah. Sour Patch Kids. I usually either go with like some chocolate, like a Twix. We
Oh
have
yeah,
big,
I love
big
Twix. I love Twix.
big cookies we have like in our vending machine. I'll send like our assistant coach sometimes and he'd like drop it off my locker. And like right before coach comes in sometime, like scrambling, trying to like take a few bites, and everyone's looking at me like I'm a nut in the locker room. It's hilarious. So let's go into future aspirations. What are your goals for the rest of your college career?
Hopefully, I want to be like an all conference player, first team all conference player. Then hopefully with more winning and more team success, and then mixed in with my personal success. Hopefully I can win Player of the Year one of these years before I get up out of here. And then after collegiate basketball is done, I want to play professional basketball. So obviously the NBA or wherever the ball wants to take me, but the NBA is definitely the main goal for sure. I want to play basketball professionally for as long as possible before I venture out to my own personal like ventures I want to do once the ball starts bouncing.
Outside of basketball, what would you say your ideal career path would be?
Definitely. So that's like an intertwining of things. So obviously with business, I want to get involved with real estate, build my real estate portfolio for sure. But my dream is to hopefully have like multiple businesses, multiple franchises and stuff like that. Whatever business plans come to me as the future comes on. But so I'm majoring in poli sci. like specifically international politics. So what I want to do is, with all the resources I've made through school and all the connections, and hopefully with how well my basketball career went, I'll be financially stable enough to be able to aid humanitarian crises. So what I want to do is venture into international politics, get involved with the UN and the foreign embassy, and kind of reform countries. So I want to start with my country, where my family's from, Sudan and South Sudan,
Mhm.
and kind of reform the government a little bit. Kind of start with the youth, establish education systems, establish opportunities for the youth, kind of just reform the government a little bit, aid the humanitarian crises, kind of fix any scandals going on or whatnot. But kind of just my main focus is starting with the youth, establishing education, and establishing programs that'll help uplift the youth and, give them an opportunity that I had. And I
Well,
kind of just want to venture around with that from country to country.
wow, that's amazing, man. Well, Arop, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I wish you the best of luck with your season and going forward, everything as well.
Hey, for sure. I appreciate you, Ashton. Likewise, bro.
Thanks for listening to Gen Z Hoops. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe on Instagram, LinkedIn, and all major social media platforms at Gen Z Hoops. You can tune in and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and every other podcast platform on the planet. Get ready for the next episode.